Okay, thank you very much. Oh, I need this. Okay, this one was for me. Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Nozomi Kobayashi, and I'm from Okinawa Churashima Foundation in Okinawa, Japan. And today I'm going to give a talk about a brief tour of humpback whale researches in Japanese waters, collaborations for conservation. And before I start my talk, I'd like to say that this is actually the first time for me to come to Maui. And I was so excited to come here. And I even enjoyed the trip from Japan to here a lot. I left Tokyo, Japan with Hawaiian Air. And it was, of course, first time for me to use Hawaiian Airline. And I was surprised and also happy because once I get on the airplane, they were playing Hawaiian music in Tokyo, Japan, and smell was nice. I don't know what the smell was, but flower smell. And they even gave me this fancy eye mask for me. And of course, I put it on and I relaxed a lot and I took a nap a while. And then I found out there was a Whale Tales advertisement on the magazine. So I read it after I took a nap a while wearing that mask. And I even spotted a whale from the airplane when I was reaching to Honolulu. And I've never experienced that in Okinawa because we have fewer whales in Okinawa. So I'd like to say thank you very much again to Jim, Megan, Emma, and all the staffs of Whale Trust and for the sponsors who invited me here. And thank you very much for all of the people here to join us today. And okay, thank you very much. Mahalo. And now, thank you very much. Okay. So now I would like to talk about humpback whales in Japanese waters. So let's zoom in. Okay, so this is Japan, and you will see Okinawa in the southern part of Japan. It's actually a little bit close to Taiwan, and you see Okinawa and Ogasawara there. I will talk a little bit more in detail about what we are doing in Okinawa and Ogasawara. And in Japan, as you know, there are 126 million people are living in that small island. And Japan consists of 4 main islands with over 14,000 small islands around it. And here's Okinawa in yellow spot. And population is about 1,450,000 people are living on that tiny island. And it's a tropical island, like atmosphere is like here in Hawaii and Maui. And it is consist of over 160 small islands around it. And I am working at Okinawa Churashima Foundation Research Center, which is a research center of an aquarium called Okinawa Churashima Aquarium in Okinawa, Japan. And our team conduct researches on marine mammals around Okinawa, of course, humpback whales, and we have rough-toothed dolphin, false killer whales, bottlenose dolphins, and so on. And we do researches using vessels like this, and we also do stranding surveys when we have stranding of cetaceans. And these days, the number of whales around Okinawa, around Japan, is increasing. So these days, we can see humpback whales from the land, including our Okinawa Churashima Aquarium. But still, not many people know that they can actually see humpback whales from the land. So these days, we are having lectures or humpback whale observation program to the visitors at the aquarium, and we are sharing the stories of humpback whales, which we found from our researches. Okay. So, and we also do the outreach works, feedback to the communities. For example, we go to the local schools to have lectures to the elementary school students or feedback to the whale watching operators, since we are conducting researches with whale watching operators. And we do presentation for the general public and also hold exhibitions for general public. This is a skeleton of humpback whales, which is stranded in Okinawa. I think it was 5 or 6 years ago. So when you hear words Japan and dolphin and whales, I assume many of the people would probably think of whaling and research whaling. And it is true that whaling has been conducted in Japan for a long time and continues to this day. So it is a fact that there is an aspect of whaling culture in Japan. However, today, I would like to share you a story about I would like to share that actually a whale watching or dolphin watching culture in Japan is actually very popular these days. And I also would like to tell you that there are many people who care about whales and dolphins and who really like to do the work with conservation of whales and dolphins. And I would also like to share the stories that non-lethal researches is also being conducted for the purpose of the whale conservation in Japan. So let's talk about whale watching tours in Japan. These are some of the places where you can see dolphins and whales in Japan. For example, a place called Hokkaido, which is a northern island in Japan. You can actually see a resident killer whales in the summertime. And also you can see some dolphins there, also some whales and many kinds of dolphins and whales you can actually see in a tour in Japan. And in this red spot, you can observe humpback whales in a tour in Japan. So that means these red spots are the sighting areas for humpback whales in Japan. It's not only Okinawa, it's not only Ogasawara. And so let me explain a little bit about those regions in Japan. So humpback whales feed themselves in feeding areas in northern area, like in Russia or Aleutians or Alaskas. And then they start migrating to Japanese waters in September to October. And then they continue migrating to south to Amami, Okinawa, and Ogasawara. And here are the known breeding grounds in Japan. So there are 3 known breeding areas in Japan: Ogasawara, Okinawa, Amami, and 2 corridors, potential feeding or breeding areas, Hokkaido and East Islands. So when did we start our researches and humpback whale tours in Japan? So the start of the humpback whale researches and whale watching in Japan is really related to whale trust, because in 1987 and 1988, Dr. Jim Darling and Dr. John Ford came to Ogasawara and then Okinawa for WWF Japan research on humpback whales. And then they taught local people how to conduct researches on humpback whales. So since then, in Okinawa, our foundation is conducting the researches on humpback whales since 1989. And also in Ogasawara, they are conducting researches from 1987. And in Ogasawara, there are 2 main organizations conducting humpback whale research. One is NPO called Everlasting Nature, and the other one is Whale Watching Association, Ogasawara Whale Watching Association. And whale watching operators and scientists are working together for the conservation of humpback whale and for sustainable whale watching tours. So this is about Okinawa and Ogasawara. And now, as you know, there are other regions in Japan where you can see humpback whales. One is in Amami, and Amami Whale and Dolphin Association is conducting humpback whale researches since 1992. And in Hokkaido, Hokkaido University, Kyoto University is also conducting humpback whale research since 2016. And in Izu Island, local towns, several universities started doing researches since 2016. And let me explain a little bit about whale researches in Japan. Basically, there are 2 types of organizations with a little bit different backgrounds in Japan. One is research organizations at each region working closely with local society, like our foundation. And other one is research organization working closely with Japanese fishery agencies and closely with government of Japan. And we do researches in cetacean, citing observation-based researches, and we do ID collections, and we collaborate with local whale watching companies. And our objective of our research is, of course, pure science, result without any political biases or pressures. And we like to use those scientific data for conservation for cetacean, including humpback whales. And we would like to feed back those results to the public and scientific field worldwide and to local citizens. And the other one is researches on cetaceans. They do broad range sighting surveys, which is also important, and do research whaling and collaborate with fisheries agencies more. And they do submit important reports to IWC, and they also publish scientific papers, of course. But the backgrounds and objective of the research is a little bit different. So because our foundation sharing these similar backgrounds with the researchers in each region, that's why we organized the current Japanese collaborative team together, which is like this, in Amami, Okinawa, Hokkaido, and Ogasawara Island. So we conduct collaborative researches together. But before I will talk about what we are doing as a collaborative research, I'd like to talk about what we are doing in Okinawa. So in Okinawa, we use survey like that, and we do researches from January to April. We started our survey in Kerama Island, Southern Island in Okinawa, from 1989. And then the number of the population of humpback whales around Okinawa increased. So we also started survey in the area called Motobu area since 2006. And usually we observe around 400 whales a year in these two regions, the two areas. And total IDs we collected in 33 years is about 1,900 IDs, 1,900 IDs in 33 years. And every year, actually 90% of those 400 whales are resighted. That means 90% of the whales were sighted in Okinawa in the past. And the population estimate, we are still working on to do the population estimation, but we assume that there are around 1,000 individuals are migrating to Japan and to Okinawa. So now I'd like to share you the footage of our research survey vessel. So this is actually a fisherman's boat, but we are doing researches with this boat for 20 years now, with the same captain. And she is one of our researcher called Haruna, and she's been doing the research in Okinawa for 15 years now. So looking for humpback whales is really hard for us because we don't have a lot of whales like here in Maui. So we look for the blows very seriously. And when we find the blow, yes, now she find a blow, so we go straight to the whale because usually we don't see any other groups around us. So we share the location to the captain, and we also share the location of the whales to the whale watching operators around us in same field. And we would like to avoid that all the whale watching operator boat, all the whale watching tour boat will go and gather around one humpback whale group. It will give a lot of stress to the whale. So we share the sighting record of the whales with the whale watching operators, and we try to observe different groups. And while we are waiting for them to come up to the surface, we try to count their numbers, how many whales in the group, and if there's calves, we take record. And then after a while, they will show you the fluke, so we take the ID. Yes. And we are doing these researches for 33 years now, and I'd like to introduce what we found so far for Okinawan whales. So distribution trend, more than 19% of whales found in the areas shallower than 200 meters, which is colored in yellow in the map. Also, more than 70% of them found in the areas shallower than 100 meters, which is colored in pink in the map. Also, from the study, we found out it's, I think, similar to Maui and in Hawaii, male and female and mother and calf groups have different distribution trend. For example, so male and female, adult male and female, they are here to mate. So we find these adult male and female group in sea mountains in offshore area. So we are assuming these are the mating areas for them in Okinawa. On the other hand, we find mother and calf pairs in shallower nearshore areas between islands. So we assume they are doing nursing in those areas more often than in offshore area. And then next, our question is, what is the relationship between those two areas, Motobu and Kerama? So Motobu and Kerama is 80 kilometers, 50 miles apart to each other. And when we find the same whale in the same season, we defined as that whale moved in between the area. And within the 400 individual we see in one season, 20% of them observed in both areas. So that means 20% of them moved in between the areas. And 42% of males actually moved in between the areas, Motobu and Kerama, but 25% of females moved in between the areas, a lot less than males does. And females with calf, mother and calf pairs only observed in two areas, 50% of them were only observed in two areas. So it is indicating that the males tend to move in between the two areas more often than females to seek for more opportunities to mate. And females move in between the two areas, but less than males. Now we know that females stay in the breeding areas for a shorter period of time than males. So it is possible that males move between the areas more often than females because they stay in the breeding areas longer. And the result also suggests that female with calves tend to stay at one area as spending more time for nursing. And next, our question was, when is the peak mating and nursing period in Okinawa? So we analyzed the number of males, females, and females with calves in each period in a season. The darker the color, the more whales were there in the period. And in case of males, they were in Okinawa from middle of January to end of March. But in the case of female, they come to Okinawa from late January, and many of them leave Okinawa at the end of February. And we also observed male-female pairs more often in late January to late February between those periods. Also, we see more competitive groups in those period too. So we are assuming the peak mating season in Okinawa is from late January to late February. On the other hand, we see more female with calves from late February to late March. So we are assuming these are the peak season for the birthing and nursing for humpback whales in Okinawa. Okay. So then now we started understand about the humpback whales in Okinawa, but what is the relationship among the sighting areas in the Western North Pacific? So we started to do the collaborative researches with the people in different regions in the Western North Pacific. This is North Pacific, and Western North Pacific is including the Philippines, Mariana, Okinawa, Ogasawara, and Russia area. And we started to do the collaborative researches during the COVID-19. Zoom is really a nice way to communicate to each other. So we are now trying to find out the population structures, abundance estimate, etc. And first, we have done the we try to understand what is the relationship between the feeding area and breeding areas within the Western North Pacific. Actually, the John and a researcher from Russia came to Okinawa, and we did the research together. And the Russian team read the collaborative study, and they found 152 whales matched between the breeding areas and Russian areas. And 70% of Russian whales were found in Asian breeding areas. But as in the James slide, and actually 23% of the whales feeding in Russia was found in Hawaii. And also 7% of them were found in Mexican breeding areas. And in Asian breeding area, 106 whales were found, and 69 of them were breeding in Okinawa, and 23 of them were breeding in Ogasawara, and 28 of them were breeding in Philippines. So majority of whales in Russian feeding area migrate to Asian breeding areas, but some of them, of course, come to Hawaii for the breeding area. Okay, so the next collaborative study was, we wanted to know what is the relationship between Philippines and Okinawa. And we conducted collaborative study, which was led by Philippine team, John's team. And we found 100 whales matched in between two areas, which is 43% of whales in the Philippines and 7% of whales in Okinawa. And also, we found a new breeding area in the Western North Pacific, which is Mariana Archipelago, which was, the study was led by NOAA in Mariana. And they found mother and calf pairs confirmed in those areas, and matches were found in other sighting areas. Matches were found in Okinawa, Ogasawara, Russia, and also in the Philippines. So a new breeding area in the Western North Pacific was found. So nowadays, we've started to understand the relationship among the sighting areas in the Western North Pacific. But what is the relationship within the Japanese sighting areas? So we started doing the collaborative research together, and we found out sighting areas in Japanese waters are utilized by the same group. But we also found that two small groups might exist in the Western North Pacific. So from feeding area, they are migrating along the Japanese main island. And then one of the group more often migrating to Ogasawara and Mariana area. And the other group is migrating more often to the Amami, Okinawa, and the Philippine areas. So that's how far we are finding out about Okinawan humpback whales, and also for the Western North Pacific humpback whales. So because humpback whales migrate all around the world, so if you're doing your research only by yourself in one region, you can't find out a lot about them. Also, if we can collaborate to each other, we can do so many things, and we can help each other to find out more about humpback whales. So cooperation is, I think, I feel really important for, of course, everything, but especially for the researches for humpback whales. So in Okinawa these days, we are open to many kind of collaboration with many organizations. And in Okinawa these days, we started a collaborative study on impact of human activities on humpback whales. In Okinawa, whale watching tours is expanding little by little. And actually in Amami, whale swim tour, which is swim with whale tour, had started in Amami since 2016. And now some of the operators in Okinawa is also started doing the swim with whale tour. And we're actually a little bit worried about the impact on humpback whales from those tours. So I asked for help to Stephanie Stack from Pacific Whale Foundation, because they have a lot of experience on that field. So I actually went to Hervey Bay, Australia, and I learned how they're doing their surveys. And we actually started those study on impact of human activities on humpback whales. These are the photos from Okinawa. And we are doing this survey with Pacific Whale Foundation, as also with the whale watching and whale swim tour operators. We are trying to create the better rules for conservation and for sustainable tours in Okinawa. Also, we are doing a collaborative study using drones these days, like this. And this study is, we are doing it with a Keiki Kohola project, Rachel Cartwright and Amy in the Keiki Kohola project. And we are trying to find out the behavior of mother and calf and also the body cognition of mother and calf, which is very exciting. And also, we are doing the collaborative researches with Whole Nose Pacific, which is SPLASH. And SPLASH 1 was conducted 2004 to 2006, but now we are started doing SPLASH 2 project since 2021. And our aim is to understand population structures, abundance estimate, etc., for Whole Nose Pacific. So these collaborations are conducted among different regions, different countries, different organizations, and people from different backgrounds. So when these days, I'm really feeling it is between 2 or 3 different organizations, but at the end, it is between person and person. So I'm always trying to be always be humbled and try to be on an equal footing and try to share the information or the feeling. Then if we do that, we can build a trust to each other. And also, I really think to do the collaboration, it is important to feel fun. I want to work with that person. I want to work with the team. I think it is really important feeling. And thank you very much. And then we can create a better effect to each other. That's for sure. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I really hope that we can continue to do the collaborative researches or collaborative work with the researcher all around the world, not only the researchers, with the citizen scientists and all the people who are interested in whales and dolphins and who's interested in our work. And we hope that humpback whales continue coming back to Okinawa and to Hawaii and to the places where they want to distribute. So I really hope they will keep coming back in the future for a long time, forever. So thank you very much. So I really think the collaboration is really important. Thank you so much.
Okay, we have time for a couple questions, if there's any questions in here. Oh, there's one back here. Did you hear the question?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it's a 90%, no, 70% reciting. Did I say 90? Sorry, 70% reciting. Thank you so much for pointing out. Could you say that again? I'm sorry. I could understand the first part of the question. But,
do you guys do underwater research and what's the water like?
Water temperature is, I think, similar to here in Maui. It's about 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. But we don't do the underwater researches. But if someone wants to do it, we are open to it. Yeah. So. Thank you so much for the question. Okay.